Do we know how Senator Nelson feels about a fair tax?
In the Panhandle, he didn't know what it was, but I'm sure he's been briefed on it by now.
Do you know if he supports it?
You'd have to ask him.
Okay.
I've heard quoted, but I haven't heard him say directly. I've only heard his comments.
Immigration plans are also being debated in Congress. You have been talking a lot about immigration. To give people a firm understanding of where you would be on enforcement of borders, amnesty, or a gradual phased-in process of citizenship, where do you stand?
I'm against amnesty, period. The House has done the work. We have secured the borders. We passed the bill to do that. That's our first and foremost priority. We said we would do so through fences in urban areas, unmanned aerial vehicles, border patrol, whatever it takes. Look, there are 2,000 illegals pouring across our border every week. In testimony in the Western Hemisphere Subcommittee, as well as Middle Asia and Middle Asia and Homeland Security, we hear that people are coming across the border taking Hispanic names. If they're fundamental extremists, we could be in grave danger. So we must secure our borders first. That's the emergency. The urgent issue for Florida is labor. We need labor. We have the top economic environment in the country, the highest job creation and the lowest unemployment rates. Thankfully to our governor and our great legislators who have worked so hard on that. But consequently, we don't have enough workers. We need workers in agriculture, in the tourism-related industries, and in construction, especially after hurricanes. So we need labor, but it has to be temporary, legal, with a secure ID. So I sponsored legislation with Senator Lugar. It was called the North American Cooperative Security Act that would provide for biometrics in our identification, so it can't be so easily replicated. Now the House has passed a bill for secure identification. We've taken care of the emergency and the urgency. Citizenship is neither. Citizenship is neither. People have spilled their blood to live in this country and to be citizens. There are laws on the books for citizenship that are poorly administered today. Before we open it up for what the Heritage Foundation says will be 100 million new citizens at the cost of $50 billion a year. Now, the 100 million will take place over the course of 20 years, but 100 million new citizens. We can't afford that from a security standpoint. We can't afford that from an economic standpoint. So I vehemently oppose that. This bill that Senator Nelson voted for, bringing these 100 million new citizens in, would also give more rights and privileges to these citizens than we have. Better privileges, greater rights for the agricultural workers. It would allow them to claim Social Security that they earned illegally. It would only make them pay 3 out of the last 5 years in back taxes. I don't know about you, but I think I should pass a bill that says the rest of us Americans, we get a 2-year rebate as well. We should get to choose which years. That's only fair. And then their children would get to come to our state universities at resident rates. Now, that disenfranchises students in 49 other states. I think Bill Nelson is wrong on his immigration stand. I completely disagree with him, and we have done the hard work in the House, and we need to move forward and pass those bills this year.
You and your fellow GOP opponents sound a lot alike in a lot of areas. So how is the voter supposed to distinguish, and why would they pick you, let's say, over the 3 other GOP candidates to go up against Bill Nelson?
Actually, we differ a lot. Some of the other candidates don't believe we should stand with Israel. I believe we should. Some of the other candidates are, I'm for cord blood stem cell research as well as for adult stem cell research. Those are the only 2 areas that have been successful. My mom has MS. I'm deeply concerned about this, but embryonic has had no success. I'm against it. Other of the opponents support it. They can say that they are for a lot of the issues. They've never been tested. They've never been pressured. I think I could argue that I clearly don't go along to get along with my party elite. I'm going to fight for what's best for Florida, and I'm not going along with them on this immigration bill because it's not good for Florida. I'm not going to kowtow to a liberal media. I'm going to stand regardless of the consequences, and I'm not going to just do what's popular either.
How do you distinguish between a liberal media and a fair media?
When they actually report the both sides and don't only languish in innuendo and gossip and talk about the issues. It's fascinating. We can give speeches and dynamic issue-oriented presentations, and all they'll report is what I wore that day. I think that's a little slanted.
I can't wait to hear back from you after you see our reports.
I look forward to it.
I'll
Thank
be
you.
very eager to see the response.
I'll tell you how else I judged a liberal media. When Bill Nelson's voting record last year, according to the National Journal, a very well-respected bipartisan publication, when they reported that his voting record was to the left of Hillary Clinton and Charles Schumer, in other words, more liberal, all the media still calls him a moderate. Bill Frist's ratings were in the 20s. McCain's ratings were in the 40s. Hillary was rated at 71. Charles Schumer at 72. Bill Nelson was 76.7. In other words, Hillary Clinton and Charles Schumer, self-proclaimed liberals, were more conservative than Bill Nelson's voting record. Even the Americans for Democratic Action, the self-proclaimed oldest Democrat liberal think tank, proudly proclaims Bill Nelson as a liberal. So I do disclaim those media outlets that call him a moderate when his voting record was lockstep with Tom Daschle all those years when they served together. And since, in an election year, you can run to the center, but I believe that the Florida electorate is a lot wiser than to believe in election year conversions.
George, our polls show that you are going to be beaten badly by Bill Nelson. I guess the question here in August, is that important, or is really your focus between now and September 5th, winning your primary and then regrouping, are you concerned, and do you have to turn that around, and how do you do that?
Our total focus is on the general election. People are not paying attention to Katherine Harris versus Bill Nelson, and you can make a poll say anything you want. All of our data proves that when we have our turn out our base, which I would argue that more than any other candidate, I turn out the Republican base the best, that we win with 53%. We've done it before. I've been down 30 points when I ran for the state Senate against the Democrat incumbent, and I won. I've been down 30 points when I ran against the incumbent statewide for Secretary of State, and I won with 20 points. I'm always down, and we always win, because when the people turn out, they know that I care about them. I'm a native Floridian. I come home every weekend. I'm not a part of the good old boy elite club, and I fight for them. I passed bills so that low-income folks could buy their first home. I passed a bill, the president signed it on the 25th anniversary of Adam Walsh's death, to keep child predators in prison far longer, in memory of Carly Boucher. People of Florida know that I'm going to deliver for them. I've never been so partisanly oriented that I can't go across the aisle and work with both sides. I never would have gotten those bills passed if not for that. They say it takes 6 years to get a bill through. We did it in 6 months. So when you take a look in the primary, we know that we are besting them by 2, 3, 4 times all the other candidates. That's fine. Our heart, our vision is focused on November. I welcome all the others to the race. It's actually helped us a great deal. We have county chairmen, great organizations in every county. Most of the elected officials have all endorsed us and are committed to our victory, because none of them can deliver a victory against Bill Nelson. I have the voting record with traditional values, voting for marriage, Bill Nelson voting against it. I have the voting record voting to cut taxes, Bill Nelson voting to raise them. I have the voting record that shows that I'm the best candidate against Bill Nelson in every category whenever you look at our voting records. And that's where Floridians are. That's where mainstream Floridians are. So we look forward to a victory September 5th. And with that momentum, we believe that we're going to sweep the general.